Okay, guys and girls, gonna do answering comments today because people have got some queries as to what I am meaning in a couple of my videos. So this video, as you can see, it's do you share? Do you have a disciplined or scattered mind? Now, Summer Storm asked this. I may be wrong, but what I've interpreted from your idea is that an individual's level of self discipline is permanently and irrevocably linked to the habits and rules instilled in childhood, as well as exposure to the examples of adults around them with regard to their relationships, with the order of the environment, and with themselves, hygiene, self care, a mindset of duty over pleasure. Now, of course, we are delving into human psychology when we ask these questions, and the subject matter is nature and nurture. How much of what we are is the result of nature, i.e., our DNA, and how much of what we are is due to our nurturing, which is all of the things pertaining to carers, parenting, society, and all those different sorts of things. So we have religion and education and indoctrination and social norms and all these different sort of things. Now, of course, they vary quite substantially depending on what culture you are born into. And a very, very major difference, obviously, is the variety of parent or carers that you have. And so it's exceedingly complex, and you'll need to educate, familiarize yourselves a great deal with the relevant literature if you want to really get abreast of this stuff. So the best psychologists would be, in my estimation, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, um, some of the Austrian camp of psychoanalysts, Alfred Adler, for instance, and then you've got people like Fritz Perls and Carl Rogers. Mostly I always revert back to the old school psychologists, psychoanalysts, because in my estimation, they were the founders, and they discovered what a great deal of the human psyche is all about. I'm not too familiar with modern day psychologists, psychoanalysts. I don't really like the approach. They don't delve into the Jungian unconscious. They don't consider too much, if at all, the collective unconscious, the collective consciousness, the archetypes, and all these different sorts of things, angels and demons, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we have to contemplate, because these things are very, very indelibly embedded in our psyches from a very young age. And just look at the Western world. Well, we've got some sort of Abrahamic God, and then we've got the devil, haven't we? Well, what do those concepts mean to any of us? Very, very varying, I'm sure. So I don't consider that anything is actually set in concrete. I think it would be very, very restrictive and debilitating and disappointing if we insist that these things are set in concrete. But we have to be exceedingly mindful if we want to bring about changes from the things that we have been conditioned into doing, or it was our default setting, i.e., you're just like your father, or you're just like your mother. when we carry out similar idiosyncrasies and, these sort of things. Well, if it's in your DNA, then that's your default setting. And if you are going to be looking in a certain way and moving your body in a certain way, then how could you ever eradicate that? So that part of the nature, you're always going to be looking like your father or your mother. So not much to do about that. And if your mother or father were manic in some shape or form, if they were depressives, if they suffered from ADHD or OCD or these sort of things, maybe you continue with those traits. The science on that is very, very weak. And so difficult to know about that. But anything that we've been conditioned with, i.e. religions and social norms and all of the general things pertaining to courtesy and consideration and kindness and what we shouldn't do, 10 commandments plus all this sort of stuff. Well, hopefully we'll have a choice about those sort of things. And, we can make modifications. And so, if we all took upon board the ideology supposedly of Jesus turning the other cheek and being compassionate and forgiving, and then if we never lied and we never stole and we never committed adultery, as far as Yahweh is concerned, well, would we be angels? We most certainly wouldn't be human beings, because that's what the human being is. It's a very, very complex and multifaceted creature. So we do carry out, live, act out these sort of things. And so, the next paragraph is, I was hoping you could talk a bit about the process of freeing ourselves from these conditioning factors and rewiring our brains to create new standards of self-demand and self-motivate ourselves to rebuild and maintain habits that align with our true desires, as opposed to the lazy, uncomfortable conformism of repeating the same patterns of poor self-discipline that have been ingrained in us. Well, I mean, have these poor patterns been ingrained within you? I mean, you're stating here that you consider that it was down to maybe your carers or your parents or your social environment that have made you lazy. But is that the case, or were you just born lazy, or were you never really inspired and conditioned and taught how not to be lazy? You see, if we've got parents that are ill-equipped and care less about your future, then they won't be instilling these qualities within you in the early formative years. Now, I've often spoke about my childhood, and from the age of 8, when my father brought us all back from care homes, we entered into what could be described very readily as an army camp. The household was ran exceedingly efficiently. We all were very, very disciplined in the slightest of details. And I've said it 1,000 times that when we got up in the morning, and I had 11 brothers and sisters, people, so there's always a lot of kids in the house. And it just wouldn't do if we weren't disciplined. And so before we could even come down the stairs of a morning time, never ever allowed just to run down the stairs in your pajamas. It wasn't happening. If we ever did try that in the early stages, or any of our younger brothers and sisters tried it, it's get back up the stairs, get dressed, get washed, clean your teeth before you step foot down here. So that was the deal. We got out of bed. we went to the bathroom, and we did all of our ablutions, and we washed our faces, we made good our hair, we cleaned our teeth, and we dressed ourselves. And by the time we got down to the breakfast table, then we were ready to go to school. Then we'd eat our breakfast, and we would do our chores. The older ones would place out the younger ones' school uniforms. I had the job for many years of polishing all of the kids' shoes, and often there were 8 sets of shoes outside on the wall, which I used to polish with old school boot polish and brushes. And when I'd done that polishing and brushing and shining, the stepmother would come out every single time, and she would inspect every single shoe. And she would look very, very meticulously for a little bit that I hadn't buffed up with fresh polish. And if she found a bit, then she would say, do the whole lot again. It wasn't just put a bit on that one. No, you'd be punished, and you'd have to do the whole lot again. And she'd be watching out the kitchen window intermittently to see, and she'd be taking a mental note of how long it's taking you. And so, and if we were found not to be doing them again, then we'd be punished further. So it wouldn't pay us to cut shortcuts and try to get away with anything. And this is how all of us were treated when we were washing the pots, or when we was doing the gardening, when we was doing household maintenance. It was an army camp. And like you see the sergeant major go into the private storm, and he's inspecting with a ruler and a square the clothes folded meticulously on the bed. And if it isn't absolutely plumb bubble with the spirit level, then the sergeant major throws them the fuck around the dormitory, and he does them all again. And he'll be, on extra sentry duty or marching, or he'll have a fucking 57-pound weight in his rucksack over and above the normal weight, all this sort of stuff. So you learn not to fuck up. Now, if you haven't had that, if you've had parents like the friends I was growing up with when I was at school, lots of them just had, they were latchkey kids. Their parents would be out, both of them commuting to work, and the kid would have to get his own breakfast, prepare himself for school, and, all this different sorts of stuff. And so kids would come to school with sleep in their eyes and bad breath because they hadn't cleaned their teeth, and the hair sticking to the head, and all this sort of stuff. Tragic, really tragic. Latchkey kids. And probably there's lots of you which were like that. You never had the discipline, and so you haven't learnt it. You've never had it instilled within you. So now you are lazy, you're unkempt, you have poor hygiene, you don't have the attention to detail. Your discipline is a fantastic obstacle to you. And so the next paragraph is addressing that. It's like, how do we do this? So, not improving, not working, not demanding more of ourselves, and not raising the bar of what we can be is accepting ourselves as a finished, defected product of our childhood and circumstances, as if we were puppets of everything external to the self. Well, we're programmable matter. That's the thing about it. And it depends on whether we receive programming, what that programming consists of, or whether we don't receive any programming. Then there's a whole array of circumstances which make manifest. And very often, just like the Catholic Church says, give me a boy from 1 through to 7, and I will give you the man. So when you would get children from well-to-do families, they'd be sent off to boarding school. They were sent off to get regimented, to get educated in, all the fine arts, and to have the greatest of discipline, and, to be made men. And then girls, they would go to finishing schools, in the 1800s. They'd learn how to build a home, and how to cater for the man, and how to play music, and how to do all the cleaning and caring of the house and everything in it, and all that. There's a lot to learn, and if we don't get educated into those realms, then we fail through life, and we don't have the discipline, and we don't have the attention to detail, and we don't make anything of ourselves. And so, if we have parents, then if they never pointed us in the right direction, then it would be very reasonable to hold that against them. But then it depends whether they had that guidance. Maybe they never had the guidance, so they didn't know themselves. So this is what we're dealing with, people, and hence we get the human race, which is a whole fucking conglomerate of all different varieties of species of the human being. We're most certainly not the same by a long stretch of the imagination. So there's so much to unpack about this self-discipline subject and how it affects our relationships with ourselves and others and our lives. I feel you only scratched the surface of it, and it gave me even more itchiness. Looking forward to listening to you developing your ideas on this matter. Well, I mean, my ideas have been long developed. And of course, the things I speak about, people, each and every one of these subject matters is massive, absolutely massive. And in my book, sometimes I'm doing readings from my book. And like yesterday, I did a reading from my book, and I only read one page, and that video was over 1 hour. And it just pertained to 2 lines on that one page. And so the magnitude of life, what it is to be, is endless. And I've been making these videos for 16 years. I've made thousands and thousands of them. And it's just an endless task, and I can only ever scratch the surface of any subject matter. But you see, if I'm speaking in a psychological way, then you might want to buy psychology books or watch psychology videos. If I'm speaking in a philosophical way, then you do the same. If I'm speaking in a spiritual way, then you do the same. I always guide people into, reading my book, because I touch pretty deep on all of these subject matter, and I'm very concise and I'm very thorough, and I emphatically made sure that the vast majority of the book, to my best ability, it made perfect sense. But you see, it depends on how rich your experience is, your knowledge bank is, whether you're going to be grasping anything. Unless I make everything absolutely rudimentary plain, is if I'm speaking to children. Well, in that case, my book would be 1 mile thick instead of 2.5 inches. So you see the magnitude of what we're dealing here, people. So I'm going to thumb up this comment, guy. I thumb up, by the way, all comments, every single comment I thumb up, just so you know that I've read them. And most of your comments, I will comment back. So I will say here, replied via a video on this subject. So send that one. Now there's another comment down below along similar lines, and so gonna get down to here. So this one is Dylan Svensson, Scandinavian, Swedish, Denmark, those sort of places, I'm assuming. So Dylan says this, because in my video, look with the right eyes and your world will become beautiful. So he starts off extras with a question mark, because I speak about most people being extras in my movie. Extras, are we not the same, just in different forms, experiences? Well, if we're in different forms and different experiences, then you've answered the question. we're not the same. And Dylan has mentioned before feeling a bit out of sorts and a little bit upset with things I say about the lower echelons of society being a bit unnecessarily rude and things like that. And then he said, well, maybe he is just the sensitive sort. And from reading what you're saying, I would say that yes, you are. You are in the lower echelon of society camp, from what I can gather. And what I mean by that is that you are, thinking that everyone's the same and everyone should be treated the same, and it's not their fault or our fault. Well, I mean, some instances it may not be your fault, like I've just been speaking about. It may be down to your nature and your nurture. But there's plenty of people who are going to be going, oh, it's not your fault. We're all like beings and we all deserve the respect. Well, if you want that, then you're not going to get that on this channel. This channel doesn't give you that. Rupert Spira will give you that. Maybe Muji will give you that. Eckhart Tolle, he'll probably give you that. I think the internet is full of people who will give you that. My approach, I'm not giving that. I am not giving any free meal tickets. It's kind of like very Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson often mentions, because he was a clinical psychologist for many, many years. And so with his patients, and in his book, the first book, 12 Rules to Life, he would say to people who were what other people have been speaking about here, i.e. the last comment, people that just couldn't get out of bed in the morning. And when they did, eventually, then they couldn't make their fucking bed. They could never change their sheets. Their life was a living hell. Their room was a shithole. Their whole home was a shithole. They probably didn't own a toothbrush and all these different sorts of stuff. And Peterson would say to them, look, let's just start each day, just go to your sock drawer and just tidy up a part of the sock drawer, maybe just a couple of socks. Put a couple of socks in pairs and place them in a corner in an orderly fashion. And then the next day, go back and do a couple more. Fuck me. I'm like, really, Peterson? Are those sort of fucking clowns you're dealing with? And then people on this channel expect me to have respect for what is considered to be a human being. I don't consider them to be human beings when they're like that. They are less than dogs. Seriously. And you can say, oh, it's not their fault. No, fucking, where do we draw the line, people with fucking fault? You know if you're a dirty cunt, if you're a scruffy cunt, because you've got comparisons. You would have been into other people's houses, drove in other people's cars, and you would see that the fucking footwear isn't a fucking shithole, and your ashtray isn't fucking bulging over, and all these different sort of things. No. If you've got a little bit of humanism, you know the fucking difference between your room and somebody else's room. And so, when do we stop blaming our parents? When do we become fucking adults in our own right? That's what I'm saying. I ain't taking no prisoners. This is the Awaken Brave boot camp. And for those that have got the mettle for it and really are serious about doing something about it, they'll hang around. Weak, shrinking violet, lazy fuckers, they're gone in a fucking instant. So, I just want to tell you, if you don't get it by now, this is my stance. And this is my stance because this is how I am. I've not been brought up with thinking everybody's equal and everybody's lovely and we should be kind. Oh, for fuck's sake. I dragged myself up by my own fucking bootstraps. And everything that I've got in life, I fucking earned it. Because nobody gave me nothing. Fucking nothing in my life. And so, if I could do it, then that's what I expect of other people. Because I don't know how to tell you we're all fucking equal, because I'm like, equal? What the fuck's equal? What the fuck are you talking about? I've never seen anything equal in my whole fucking life. I just see a fucking tiered society, a pyramidal tiered fucking society, a whole fucking hierarchy. That's what I see, because I'm in the real fucking world. I'm not on the bottom rung of the ladder feeling sorry for myself. Oh, we're all equal and we're all... No, we're not. If you're on the bottom rung of the ladder, you're on the bottom rung of the fucking ladder, boy. And, you best start climbing up towards the second fucker. If you've got anything about you, if you're going to fucking look at yourself and decide that, hang on, my sock drawer is a fucking mess. It's a fucking nightmare, and I'm going to do some fucking thing about it. And I ain't going to do it over the space of a week. I'm going to do it over the space of 10 fucking minutes, and I'm doing it now. And then when you've done that, you'll look around and you go, where's the fucking vacuum cleaner? And then you'll just continue like that. My house is immaculate. When I ran my businesses, they were immaculate. Everything ran very, very efficiently. And I made a lot of money doing what I was doing because I was very good at doing what I was doing, paying attention to detail. And some of you might get the impression that I still do that. So no prisoners, people. No prisoners. So extras, are we not the same in different forms and experiences? It's as if you are on the track until you identify Aaron with solipsism. Aaron is just a character God made. And you found that out through Aaron, but forgot that Aaron, with his concept of himself, is less than God. So now you say that you specifically is more God than the rest. Correct. Well, look, I've got to correct you on all accounts. So you're saying to me, Aaron is just a character. Well, that part is right. We're just a persona. There's nothing going on here at all except a fiction of a persona of the illusion. And then you state God made. Well, I'm not in agreement with that. There ain't no daddy in the fucking sky as far as I'm concerned. If you call God the cosmos or consciousness like I do, then okay, consciousness has created this illusion. The cosmos has created this illusion. All right, I'm buying into that. But because I have consciousness and I'm a shard of the whole fucking thing, then I am it as well. So I am God. And the whole cosmos is God. If you don't feel that you have the metal within you to feel that you are God, if you haven't found and discovered that you are God, well, you're going to be little old you, and Daddy's going to be in the fucking sky, and you better be careful how many times you masturbate because he's fucking watching and he doesn't approve. You know what the fuck? So, and you found that out through Aaron, but forgot that Aaron, with his concepts of himself, is less than God. No, I've never ever forgot that I'm less than God. I've always known that I am God. Even before I went on this fucking magical mystery tour of the awakening and enlightening, I never bowed down to no authority. There was no authority in the cosmos over and above me. And so you make of that what you will, but it served me very, very well. So now you say that you specifically is more God than the rest, correct? I'm more godlike than the rest. I'm more self-realized, yes. Now, I would very readily say that there are many of these hominids on this earth who aren't in actual fact human beings as some of us would think. I mean, I ask, what actually is a human being? Look, what we have to realize, people, when you're watching and listening to me, is that, I'm many things here. I'm very psychoanalytical, I'm very philosophical, I'm very spiritual, and I intermix all of these skills. Can't find the word. All of those things. I mix all of those things into one, and so I will break every single thing down into the nothingness, because that's what philosophers do. We can regress, and we can for fuck's sake, reduce everything down to nothing at the end of the day, because nothing is what this actually is. It's an illusion. It's Maya. There is no physical matter. There are no human beings. There's no microphones. There's no computers and all this different sorts of stuff. And if you don't grasp where I'm really coming from, then you just need to keep reading, listening for fucking years, people. I've been doing this for fucking 16 solid years, and I was no fool before I started. Traveling around the world, 45 countries, many of those countries, many times, and living in these countries and working in these countries. I've learnt an enormous amount. And so you're not expected in any shape or form to be able to grasp where I'm coming from because you simply haven't had the experience. So you're saying, and now I say that I am more God than the rest, correct? I am more realized. I realize what I am. And the vast majority of you guys won't accept that you're God. You just don't have that. You don't have the personality. You don't have the intellect. You don't have the spiritual connection. You don't have that expanded state of consciousness to be able to realize that. You have just been indoctrinated that daddy's in the fucking sky. You're small and you're fucking nothing, and at the very fucking most, you derived out of an ape, and you've got no idea about any fucking thing in the cosmos and this, that, and the other. Well, that isn't the case with me because I'm too experienced, and so I rise myself above all of that, and so ultimately, I am a shard of God consciousness. There's never been a single person on the planet that's even come close to grasping what consciousness is, and so in my estimation, consciousness has to be God. Because we don't know what God is either. Some people may think, oh, God, the daddy in the sky is called Allah or is called fucking Yahweh. Oh, please, don't even run that bullshit by me. Don't even run those fairy fucking tales by me, people. Anyway, so at least that's what it sounds like you're saying. Am I wrong? Well, I hope I've explained that. So I went on to say this. What I'm saying is that some of us, very few, are more self-realized than most. The vast majority have no idea what they are. So whether God consciousness, spirit is within them or not, they haven't a clue that they are eternal cosmic consciousness. There are some spiritualists that seriously consider that the walking dead, as Jesus made reference to, are soulless, spiritless automaton. At the very least, they have no idea that they are incarnated spirit having a human experience because their light hasn't been switched on. The vast majority of people are not self-realized. They're not enlightened. They're light bulbs without the electricity. And so you got to get your head around what enlightenment actually is. When you're enlightened, your light switched on, and you have a vast awareness and realization about the whole fucking shebang. And then you will speak like I speak, and say outlandish things and confuse everybody. But you've got to travel that path. The vast majority of you won't ever get there. You were never cut out to get there. Never cut out for enlightenment. You don't have the consciousness or the intellect, or you'll never gain the experience. You'll never read the books. You'll never put the time in to your self study and all these different sorts of things. And so how could you expect ever to be a rocket scientist if you don't even fucking go to college? This is what we're dealing with, people. So as far as I can discern, the masses are automated programs which might very well not have a spirit, like the robots in Westworld. They are here at the spirited ones' disposal. They pack our chickens and sweep our roads, etc. There is zero evidence that they are spirited cosmic light beings. They are dead. Even Jesus says, let the dead bury the dead. The walking dead. Let the living dead, the walking dead, bury the fucking physical dead. Even he was making that distinction, people, fucking 2,000 years ago. And then he was saying, don't throw pearls to swine. Don't be giving your wisdom to these fucking idiots. They'll never ever grasp it in 1,000 fucking years. Even the Son of God, even God himself, the man who walked on fucking water, said that, people. So when you're saying to me, oh, we should be treating everybody, for fuck's sake, there's no such thing as equal. There is no such thing as equal. There's muppets, muggles, and there's fucking geniuses, and all in between. And so, if people don't like that, then maybe you should go back to the fucking liberalist camp and, start painting fucking rainbows and cutting your cock and balls off and, fucking having a pussy stitched into yourself or something like that. People, get things straight here. So Dylan then responds, all right, I just can't understand why you speak of them in degrading terms. I mean, their potential to be realized must still be there, surely. Why? Why, Dylan? Why must it still be there? Why are you assuming that all human beings are potentially fucking geniuses and potentially going to be enlightened? Who the fuck told you that? What sort of liberalist bullshit have you been listening to? For fuck's sake, did Rupert Spira tell you this fucking nonsense? Why? This is what you got to ask yourself the question. No, absolutely fucking not. There are varieties of human being on this planet with exceedingly low IQs and exceedingly high, and all in between. There are people that can perform fucking miracles. Somersaulting through the air on fucking motorbikes and doing all different sorts of crazy badass stuff that the vast majority of people would never ever come close to doing. And so, just copy and paste that across the whole fucking board. Why do you assume that everybody's all the same and they're all equipped with the same? They're fucking not. They're just not. And I would even go as far as to say, like many, many other intelligent people, that we're not all human beings in the sense. What is a fucking human being? Is a human being? Look, Homo sapiens means intelligent man. Well, fuck me. Can you point one out to me? I want you to point one out to me. I want you to point out a Homo sapiens. Go walking down the fucking street and point one out to me, please. And then we'll ask them a few questions and we'll see if it's true. And I'm pretty fucking self-assured that they wouldn't have a clue about any fucking thing that they haven't fucking heard on CNN or BBC News. And who says they are comfortable in their way of living? Well, if they weren't fucking comfortable, if they weren't like pigs in shit, then you would have thought they would have been crawling out the fucking mire, wouldn't you? Maybe they feel they are missing a tiny something which they never dare give any attention. Now, look, what I know, being psychoanalytical, when somebody speaks about other people, they are projecting what they think. Now, what Dylan is actually saying is, I'm like this and I'm like that. And, I don't think that, I'm any less than you, but you speak down to me. But, maybe I'm not like you. Have you ever thought about that, Awake and Brave? Yes, I've thought about it long and fucking hard. And so, and who says they are comfortable in their way of living? So, are you comfortable? This is the question. Are you comfortable? And if you're not comfortable, which I'm assuming that you're not, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to me, you wouldn't be engaging with me, because it isn't easy to do, is it? Because you get this level of fucking talking to. Who the fuck wants to do that? Not many people. So I take my hat off to you, Dylan, for doing that. You are willing to learn and you're on the right path. Maybe they feel they are missing a tiny something which they never dare give any attention. So you feel that you're missing a tiny something that you never dare give in any attention. Well, what is that something? Ask yourself what that fucking something is, Dylan, and then stare at it square in the fucking face and face it off and give it the attention. And fear nothing. Fear fucking nothing, bro, because fear is the biggest killer. Stuck in their patterns, and you say they fully become the pattern with no way home. How would we know that? I think it's safer to assume they are not truly pleased with their lives. Well, again, if they're not truly pleased with their lives, well, there's a billion things that they could be doing. to better themselves, isn't there? They could be educating themselves. They could be getting fitter. They could be getting stronger. They could be changing their circle of friends. They could be, going to university or college or night school. There's a billion things that people could be doing if they weren't like pigs in shit. And so there's no evidence for what you're saying here, Dylan. There's no evidence, because if you've got people that are sweeping the fucking roads, it seems to me that they're very, very comfortable in sweeping the roads. Because if they didn't want to sweep the fucking roads, they'd say to themselves, what the fuck am I doing here? Sweeping the fucking roads. Surely I can elevate myself. I can at least pack fucking chickens. That might be one step up above. At least I can steal some of the fucking chicken. There must be a way to fucking do that. Might be able to shag some of the fucking birds packing the fucking chickens. What the fuck am I doing sweeping roads? Fucking nothing. It's a road to nowhere, isn't it? So look, if we feel as if we are more, then we will get more, and that's just it. But most people, they don't think about anything more. They don't even fucking think about how demeaning it is, or the lowest run on the fucking human ladder, sweeping roads. They just don't think that. They're probably just happy to have a fucking job. So, doing what we are told to do, like dogs. Even dogs are getting depressed in homes that can't respect what it means to be a dog. Most people don't know how to own a fucking dog. Yes, these cunts that own dogs, they leave them in the house, fucking 23 hours of the fucking day, come back from work and take them out for 1 hour. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. And these cunts should be fucking hung by the bollocks, to be fair. I'm in no more agreement with it than you are, mate. I think there should be licenses brought in that absolutely dictate that you have fucking X amount of hours to dedicate to that animal. And the animal has access to outdoors in a fucking garden with fucking plants and grass, not just a fucking paved area, 10 by fucking 10. No, it should be respected as a living, potentially wild fucking animal. And, given the respect that wild animals deserve. So we not only view automized people as less, but we also don't know how to treat the less. Two things we can do: respect them and be there to help them if they want. To use them as slaves and leave them to burn can't be the right way to handle it. Well, look, at some stage, Dylan, you're going to work out that the world is the way the fucking world is. And it's been that way forever, and it doesn't look like it's going to be changing any day soon. And if you are low IQ, low energy, low heart, you don't have a fucking strong heart or anything like that, then there's plenty of fucking people around that are gonna enroll you in a factory where you're stacking shelves and fucking boxing biscuits and any number of fucking shit like that. They're gonna press gang you into employment. They're gonna have you driving a fucking van, 10 hours a day. They're gonna have you doing all this different sorts of shit. If you allow that to happen, then you are not worthy of anything else. Some people may say, oh, I've just got to get a little bit of a job, get some money coming in, then I'm going to look for something else. Well, okay, and then you end up in that job for 3 fucking years where you weren't looking very hard, were you? Now, people, the world has to be like this. The world could never be any other way. The world needs road sweeps. The world needs fucking grass cutters. The world needs cunts to fucking walk and blow fucking flakes of grass off the fucking pavements, because council write that into the criteria what they're gonna fucking do. And so someone in their infinite wisdom decided that blowing the flakes of fucking grass off the path once the grass has been cut is a jolly good idea to keep it all nice and neat, until the fucking next wind blows and blows it all back on the fucking path again. Goodness me. When you look around at the world, you'll see that the world needs bus drivers, the world needs fucking painters and decorators, plumbers, the world needs people working in sweatshops, creating every fucking thing. Somewhere on the fucking world, probably in Asia, there is some people working in the factory just making these day in and day out, probably for about 18 hours a fucking day, and they're getting paid about $2 fucking. Well, the world needs people like that. It just does. And it's like when you look at an ant colony, the ant colony has pincer guys. They stand sentry, and if anything comes along which looks untoward, then they're on the fucking case. Then you've got ants tending the queen. They're blind as fucking bats. They work on pheromones, and they're doing all this shit. Then you've got the worker ants, and some of them are foragers, and some of them are builders, and some of them tend the decaying leaves. Making these fucking compost heats, which generate energy and food and all that different sort of stuff. You've got all this stuff going on. That's nature, and it'll never be any other way. And so, in a business, you'll get a certain level of diplomacy who will give respect to the janitor in kind of like a face value, equal respect that they would do their fucking technical drawers. People with PhDs. Oh, good morning, you civil, aren't you? Good morning, how are you today? But the back of your mind, you're thinking, you're just a fucking shit cleaner. Fucking go and clean your shit, you stupid fuck. Humans are humans. They're not all thinking, oh, we're all equal and we're all God's children. Oh, really? They're not. I don't know who. I don't know what mind would think like that. Because we just draw distinction, don't we? And we know that a person that's gone on to get a PhD has put years and years of education in college and university. And they were very, very desirous about making something of themselves. Compared to the janitor, they never read a book in their fucking life, never went to college, never went to university. They probably can't string a decent fucking sentence together. And yet, we treat them all the same? No, we don't. We just pay them absolute minimum fucking wage, and we press gang them into cleaning fucking toilets and packing chickens. That's the way the world is, Dylan. So I hope that's answered some of your questions. You won't get this anywhere on the fucking internet. The Awake and Brave is absolutely unique. And if any of you think that there is someone like me, then send me a link to their fucking videos. People have done it in the past. Oh, this person's like you. Oh, you're not the only person that does this. Well, really? I don't think so, because I'm so broad in all I fucking do. You might get one person that speaks a little bit like this and maybe says, fucking pink ape here and there. I've never even heard anyone saying pink ape. I've coined that fucking term. It just doesn't happen. The reason why it doesn't happen, people, because everyone's out for subscribes and likes and money. I don't get any fucking money. I don't give a fuck about your likes and your fucking subscribes, to be quite frank. But I do have a go at you about it, because it's something that I can do to wake you the fuck up and realize that, hey, you're watching the Awake and Brave. And you in the Awake and Brave bootcamp, don't just be thinking that you can just fucking sit there staring at me like fucking you staring at the fucking wall or something. No, because if I don't get any response out of you, then you're going to be having some shit to deal with, and I'm going to be calling you all the cunts under the sun until I do get a response from you. And that's how it is. That's how it's always been. That's how it always will be. This isn't the channel where you're just going to be able to let's see what the Awake and Brave's talking about, and just stay anonymous and hidden and not have me plant seeds in your mind and in your consciousness. Anything like that. No, by the time you've watched even one of my videos, you're going to be fucking thinking about shit. That's the intention, people. Because if I was telling you that we're all one, and oh yes, we must have respect. Where's that getting anybody? Is that making any of you raise yourselves up? Is that gonna kick yourselves in the fucking pants? No, it's not, is it? It's just gonna make you think, well, we're all like that, and so I don't have to do anything. We're all in the same basket, to be fair. And you'll be in the denial that some people drive fucking Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces around. They don't just get on the fucking bus to the factory every fucking day. So what part of being equal do you think that is? No, people, it's not equal. So my videos are about asking you guys, presenting to you, giving you the opportunity. Do you want to raise the fuck up? And if you do, keep watching. If you don't, fuck off. That's how it is. That's the Awake and Brave.